Welcome again to another episode of The Consistency Queen. My name is Elsa Morgan. I'm coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia. Thank you so much for opting in and having a listen to my episode today. We're going to be talking about a topic today that is very near and dear to my heart because throughout my journey of entrepreneurship, which began officially in 2015 when I accidentally discovered the online space, once I started to harness this very thing that I'm going to be talking to you about, my world changed and I showed up differently and I produced different results. And so the whole purpose of my podcast, The Consistency Queen, is not just to talk to you about consistency, because I want you to safely assume that everything that I speak about in terms of things that you need to implement and change, you can safely assume that there is a consistency element attached to that, because consistency has changed my life. Once I locked arms with consistency and started to play that out in all areas of my life, not just in my business, in my personal life, in my relationships, with my family, how I looked after myself, my whole entire life changed. And so you can assume that consistency is in everything that I do and everything that I teach. But this one thing, if you start taking control of this thing, it will change your life. But it does take work and you will need to be consistent. And that is harnessing your thoughts. Once you start understanding what you think about and what you give energy to in terms of your thoughts, then you can start negating those thoughts, rewiring those thoughts, and start speaking differently, showing up differently, and having different energy in self and in all areas of your life. You see, your thoughts will govern the way that you move. Your thoughts will govern the way that you decide to show up in areas of your life. Your thoughts will pretty much determine whether you do show up or not. And so if I was to tell you that over 75,000 thoughts play out in your mind every single day, and 91% of those are exactly the same, would that surprise you? Because when I heard that, it surprised me. Let me tell you, I just went, what? I don't want to be thinking about the same thing every single day. No, I want to be creating experiences. And so when I heard that stat, I sat down and I remember this day, I was thinking about, what did I think about yesterday? What did I think about the day before? And, there were some common themes around my thoughts. And so when you understand that over 90% are exactly the same, and yet your thoughts are literally the beginning of all things that play out in your life. Like your thoughts pretty much are the starting point of where you're going to go and what's actually going to present in your life. When I started to marry up the two, I just went, oh, wow, like no wonder there are some things that are just not moving in my life. No wonder there are some things that are the same in my life and in my business. So when I started to pay attention to what I thought about every day, and when I called myself out on things that I shouldn't be thinking about that weren't in alignment with where I wanted to go, things changed for me. And I want to share 3 strategies with you that you can implement today. And again, you've got to do this consistently, because one thing I do want to say to you, if you've been harboring these thoughts for a very long time, especially, then this is something that your subconscious and unconsciously as well, you've already embedded, like it's part of your DNA. In fact, many of you default to these thought patterns and these thoughts as your comfort zone. Like if ever you are uncomfortable, or if ever you're presented in a situation where you're scared, you know that there's growth, you've never done this before, there's fear around it, you'll probably default to this thinking, and that's because it's part of you. It's part of your subconscious, and it's taking that as the instruction for when you're in times of fear and growth, and it feels like you're a little bit nervous. It'll go to this thought pattern. And so if this is you, then this is especially for you. More importantly, you need to be vigilant with what I teach you, because more than ever, the more that you try and negate, rewire your thoughts and start speaking out the opposite, there's going to be like a push and pull. There's going to be a moment in time where there's going to be like, I know your subconscious is going to fight you on this, because it's going, Helen, you told me this was the thing. And you're going, no, we now believe in this. But, and you go, no. So there's going to be a push and pull. Like when I was going through that, I'm going, we don't think like this anymore, Elsa. We do not think like this anymore. Like I was literally speaking that to myself. And this is really important, because your mind and your body can absolutely take over if you allow them. Because you've conditioned your mind and your body. You've conditioned how your body should feel in times of anxiousness or uncomfortableness or feelings of growth. You've conditioned your mind with thoughts and things that you say to yourself every single day. And here is the thing. I just want to say one last thing before we launch into the strategy. Just know that just like you have programmed your mind to tap into these thoughts whenever you feel a particular way about something, these are limiting beliefs. They're literally limiting your potential. They're literally stories that you're just telling yourself, or you've told yourself for a period of time. And now your mind picks up on this. Whenever you're feeling any particular way, it'll go to this because it's the default programming. And even though this is hardwired into you, and you've been telling it yourself for so long, the same story, that doesn't mean that it's true right now. The only reason they're coming up is because for so long you've told yourself this. And just because it comes up, it's not an accurate reflection of where you are right now in the circumstances that you're in. And that is why it limits you. That's why it's called a limiting belief, because even though this is stuff that you tell yourself or you've told yourself, it's limiting your potential in that moment, like right here, right now, because it may not necessarily be true. And so because most people will take that to be true, because it's hardwired and it just comes up, they go, oh yeah, I know, you're right, I can't do this thing. But actually you can. It's just programming from another time, another place. Some other person might have been involved. And yet in this moment where you are perfectly capable, you will limit yourself and your capacity to do the thing simply because of something else. So with that being said, what you need to know is that you can start today. You can start today to rewire your thoughts, change your thoughts, and actually think differently. May not be today, but if you persist and do it on a consistent basis over time, 100%, and you'll show up differently. You'll actually take action and not stop yourself. And you'll start producing results that once upon a time you never thought was possible. So this is important for you. If you're working towards something, or you're building a business, or you want to change your life, this episode is for you. Because once upon a time, I was there too. So I'm speaking to things that limited my capacity to do things because of stories that I told myself, And when I realized that they weren't true, that they may have been maybe accurate once upon a time, it wasn't a true reflection in that moment when I thought it again. It was merely because over 90% of my thoughts were the same. And probably in those 90% of thoughts, I was telling myself these limiting beliefs. And so my subconscious is taking that as an instruction. But what I do want to emphasize is that every thought matters when you want to change your life. Every thought matters if you want different circumstances. Every single one. Because the minute that you think about it or you speak about it, you are giving it every chance to manifest and play out in real life. Because it's all energy. And we are all energy. And so once you think about it, even though it's not what you want, the subconscious doesn't know that. The subconscious doesn't have the capacity to determine, hey, I know that Elsa is thinking this thing, but I really know that that's not what she really thinks. It's just a story that she's telling herself. It's not that smart to separate and go, this is in the no bucket and this is in the yes bucket. It doesn't know that. All it knows is what you repeatedly give energy and thought to. That's all it knows. So if you're putting in the same information, much like a computer, whatever you put into it is what it's going to spit out. Whatever you type into the keyboard is what's going to appear in the screen. That's exactly the same with the subconscious mind. Whatever you put in there, like program, it's going to accept that and hardwire it. And we'll use that information in times that it can bring up the same emotion. Okay, so emotions are the language of the body. Thoughts are the language of the mind. So whatever you want your mind to think about, you have to channel that every day. Whatever you want to bring out into reality, you have to think about that every day. Think about what it would feel like. Think about you seeing yourself achieve it. And so if you have been entertaining opposite to that, not in alignment with where you want to go, chances are a big part of the equation why you're not where you want to be is because what you think about every single day. So once you start mastering your mindset, harnessing your thoughts, intentionally working towards changing the way you think, you will start changing your life. You will. You will show up differently. You will play out your activities very, very differently, energetically and from a focus perspective. And you will also produce different results because of the internal change. And so by you following these next three things, you will give yourself every opportunity to start tapping into that next level version that's already inside of you and also the results that you desire. So I want you to grab a pen and paper and I want you to take notes because this is definitely going to help you. Okay. So a big part of my transformation has been harnessing my thoughts, really tapping into the very thoughts that I was telling myself that simply were not true. And the best way, like I have tried all things, by the way, but this one technique really helped me. Now, if you want to know exactly what I do, obviously you would need to come into my coaching programs because I do deep dives into all of this. So you just need to understand that. There's like masterclasses around this that I do. But I'm going to give you a simple technique that you can start doing today. And it's definitely going to help you. Okay. So the thing that really helps me is journaling. Okay. Journaling definitely helped to transform my mind, my life, my energy, and brought forward into focus the person that I really was versus the person that I thought I was. Because when I started to do the inner work, I realized there were elements of how I was operating on a day-to-day basis that I simply did not like. And I was not aware of some of my behavior until I actually stopped and paid attention to everything that was happening. And how that happened was because of this thing. Every time that I thought about something that was not in alignment with what I was thinking about, I would journal about it. Eventually, like it really helped me to identify patterns. But things like limiting beliefs, thoughts that I'd say to myself, I'm not good enough. In that moment, I would have because I was determined to change my life. I would have my journal next to me and I go, today I thought about this while I was doing this. Or today I was triggered, the triggers as well. Today I was triggered by this. And then what happened is I would start seeing some similarities in circumstances, in the way that I reacted or responded. And because of that, I started seeing patterns. I started to see that there were elements of my behavior that really was responsible for the outcomes that I was producing. And when I took responsibility of my behavior, my actions, my thoughts, and made a commitment to change, the change happened. And so the first step is to be aware of what you're thinking about. And don't give yourself an out. Like if you're saying to yourself, hey, I don't know if I can do this, like that's got to stop. Like right there. I'm not good enough. That's got to stop. Right there. Like that's how determined and persistent that I was. And I'm literally just showing you my personality coming through, because that's how I would speak to myself when I was in the moment and going, what are you doing? Right. And that's how you need to check yourself. Because remember, over 90% of your thoughts are exactly the same. So you only have 9%, a 9% chance to change your life by changing your thoughts. So you got to be super persistent and super disciplined and catch yourself in those moments where you're thinking things that are just not true or not serving you or not helping you. It's not helping you. You telling yourself that you're not good enough. How is that helping you? You telling yourself that last time you failed. How is that helping you? You need to start channeling those things that are going to boost you up, shift your energy, light you up, and just help you to move that belief needle, because you have it. You can do this 100%. And so when I started writing down all these thoughts that were just like not true, I would ask myself this one question, and I want you to start practicing this. It might sound a little bit crazy and woo-woo, but let me tell you, the people out there, they don't care. They just want to know that you can help them. They just want to know that you actually care about them. In order for you to help them and care about them, you need to help and care of yourself first. You need to be able to understand yourself. You need to be able to love yourself. And to do that, you need to take responsibility of who you are right now. And how I did that was I would ask myself, how is that true? This thing that you wrote now, who said that? What makes that true? What information is there out there that validates this very thing? I could pretty much say like 99% of the things that I wrote, there was no proof. There was no proof. There was just things that I was just telling myself because I was so used to just putting myself down, talking myself out of the game, telling myself that I wasn't good enough because it felt good. And it justified me not taking action. It justified me not changing. But was that helping me? Was that aiding me in my ability to go and help people? Was that helping me in my mission to go and serve and help women? No. So when I really stopped and thought about it and got serious about my work and decided, you know what? It really is me. I'm the one. I'm the problem. I'm the one that has to change. Nobody else. It's me. When I decided that that was my responsibility, that I was the one that was going to effectively change my life by starting to change myself, then that's when real change happened. And when I started to see these patterns emerge of me thinking not nice things about myself, of me thinking that certain things played out because, you know, of my beliefs, of my belief systems. And then I realized that, wow, like all of this is my doing. I'm thinking this. They're not thinking this. I'm thinking this. I then started to really understand the reality, and that everything that I had been seeing till that point was just a filter upon filter upon filter of my beliefs. It was just not true. What I was seeing was like a shaded version of the reality. And I was literally saying things to myself just to serve my own purpose, nobody else's. And so this is you. Please don't feel bad. I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to bring awareness to you that I have been here. So many other people have been here. The next step for you is just decide that you are going to move from here. You're going to change. Because in order for your life and your external circumstances, your results, your bank account to change, you must first change. And that starts with your thoughts. There are other things that come into play, but this is the starting point right here, right now. And so grab a journal, commit to writing down all the things that shift your energy, your thoughts, triggers, anything that shifts your energy and just gets you out of movement, out of positivity, needs to go into here. The way that I describe it to my clients, especially when it comes to triggers and emotions, things that constantly bring up emotion, you need to literally exit that out of your body and onto something, like get it out of your body, because stored emotion is not good over time. I mean, that's a whole nother episode, and elements to like that are scientifically proven that I can reference. But I can honestly tell you, once you start removing that emotion from your body heals, and your body gets to do what it's naturally meant to do without that. Because with all that stored emotion, it's like the filter is full. It can't operate efficiently. You can't operate efficiently. Your mind is constantly clouded. And so by you exiting, like literally see these things coming out of your body and dumping onto paper, not only is it cathartic and cleansing in so many ways that you are just like releasing, it's good for you. But it's also, more importantly, going to bring awareness to you, especially if it's repetitive emotion, especially if it's repetitive thinking. That's why this is really good. Now, some people just don't want to journal. If that's you, that's okay. But I want you to tap into something that's going to help you to identify when you are thinking not right, or you have stinking thinking, or talking negatively to yourself, or being triggered. I want you to find a technique or something that you can go to that's going to help you to identify patterns, and where you can just start paying attention to how you've played out in that situation. In my case, it was journaling. That brought about awareness, that brought about repetitious behavior. It also brought about how I played out and whether those things were true. So step 2 once I started doing that and I was being aware, like in that moment, especially when I was talking negative to myself or something happens, and I would journal, then I would start confirming the opposite. So if I would say to myself, hey, I can't do this, I'd stop myself and I'd actually write this down. Now, writing everything down does take time, but how desperately do you want to change your life? Like for me, I desperately wanted to change my life. So I was prepared to do anything. And then I'd say, I thought this today, I can't do this, when I was, sending out messages or whatever, but I know I can do it. I know I can do it. And then I'd get up and I'd say, I can do this. 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 And I would keep saying that until energetically I had shifted out of that negative state. I kept saying that over and over again, because again, I am hardwiring, reprogramming in my mind and in my body, channeling the thoughts and the behaviors and the feelings that I wanted to embody to produce different results. And you have to be that disciplined. You do. You do, because your version where you are right now is storing thoughts, behaviors, emotions that you've held on to for so long that you need to let go of, because your version right now is not the version that's going to get you the results that you desire. And in order for you to move in that direction and start creating shifts and breakthroughs in your life, you need to break some of these patterns right here, right now. Some of these thoughts, you've just got to say goodbye forever. And you've got to choose to behave differently, to respond differently, to limit entertaining thoughts that are not in alignment with who you want to become. And you can't do that unless you're aware. And you can't do that unless you see patterns to see how much this is playing out in your life and how much of it is not true. And then you can't change unless you start shifting differently in that moment. You see, every single moment you have a choice on how you're going to show up, how you're going to behave. And so what I would do is just literally talk myself out of whatever it is that was happening. This is not true. We're not acting this way anymore. We are acting this way because you know what? 7-figure version Elsa does not behave that way. 7-figure version Elsa does not make decisions this way. 7-figure version Elsa does not speak this way. Not anymore. Not anymore. Now, this is how we are showing up. So once you start speaking to yourself opposite, and start channeling positivity, speaking affirmations that are going to confirm the behavior and the actions and the feelings that you want to embody. You start doing that over time, then you're going to start embodying that and it become more natural to you. And you'll be so much more focused with how you behave. And any time that any of these critters come up and try to just bring you down a notch, you can just stamp that out. Now, number 3, and this is the thing that I talk about all the time, because you can start it and you can start doing it, but the way that you create permanent, lasting change is through consistency. You see, without consistency being part of the equation, you will opt in and out all the time, and your results will not be permanent. Your change will not be permanent. In order for you to have permanent, long-lasting change, you need to be vigilant and determined to address this and to journal and to tackle this every single day. You need to develop consistency, and that happens by doing it every single day. And once you have consistency and you keep that process every single day, permanent change. At some point in time, it just becomes part of you. You embody the behavior. You are more aware of how you think, and so you will stamp out really quickly. You see, You cannot carry your current thoughts that are limiting you to the next level, because you will sabotage your progress. You will sabotage your trajectory and the results that you want to achieve and the people that you can help, unless you commit to changing your behavior, your thoughts on a permanent basis. And you can't do that without consistency. So number 3, you've got to develop a technique that's going to help you to build that consistency. Now, for some people, it's about checking in maybe with a friend or checking in with an accountability partner. For others, you might need to tap into a mentor. Or if you're dead serious, like if you are genuinely hardcore serious, you want to change your circumstances, you'll invest in yourself and get an accountability coach who's going to hold you to your word. This is the thing. So just to wrap up, number 1, start journaling. Start tracking all of the times that you are thinking about your thoughts, the negative ones, the ones that aren't serving you, when you get triggered. All of these things matter, because if you do that every single day, you'll start identifying patterns and you'll see which ones are the ones that you really do tell yourself, because these are the ones that are going to take time for you to change. Number 2, once you identify the thoughts, the behaviors, the feelings that are no longer the ones that are going to serve you or you want to change or you need to change, then you've got to start putting strategies in place to shift that behavior. Now, for me, I used to talk myself out. Like, I'd say the opposite. I would ask myself if there was any element of truth to what I had just thought, or any element of truth to what I thought I saw or I experienced. Is this true? Like, who makes it true? I make it true. Well, if I make it true, does it make it true? Or is this just serving me and my ego? You know, it's difficult to have those kinds of conversations with yourself unless you are self-aware and prepared to take responsibility. So once you look at your repetitive behavior and the things that you constantly say to yourself or the way that you respond, and then you decide to take action to shift that, to change that, to make that permanent change, that's real self-awareness. And that's how you can start changing your life. And number 3, you need to embody this change. You need to embody this behavior for it to be permanent in your life. And once you start changing on a permanent basis, your results will change too. This is so important for you to understand that your results cannot come unless you change first. But you've got to walk down that path and decide that you will take ownership of your journey, that no one else is to blame. There are no external circumstances that could possibly do the work for you, that you must do the work, that you must commit to the strategies, to the commitment, meaning the dedication, the time, the energy, the effort to make those changes. Because without that commitment, you're just going to pass it. You're just going to go 50%. And like, really, to make a permanent change, you've got to go all in, especially if it's behavior, thoughts, emotions that you've carried for a long time. So I've been there and I've experienced many of those changes. I know what's possible because I've experienced it myself. I've seen it in my clients, those that have made permanent changes, and the way they've shifted, their results outwardly change. So I just want to tell you, if you're listening at home right now, or if you're driving and you're listening to me and you're going, but that's not me, like I've tried all the things, I just want you to try this thing. And I want you to give it commitment for at least 60 to 90 days. Like on a daily basis. I want you to start understanding yourself. I want you to start understanding that many of the circumstances that you experience may not necessarily be true. They could be heavily influenced by your thought patterns and the way that you speak to yourself and the way that you think about yourself. They largely affect the way that you see circumstances play out in your life. and many of them are not true. And that doesn't make you a bad person. I get excited when I come across these sorts of situations because I know there's a possibility, a real possibility for long-lasting change, more positive, more kind to yourself, and moving more in the direction of the life that you want to create. And you see, by you taking responsibility for yourself, for your life, for your actions, for your thoughts, for your emotions, for your behaviors, when you start taking responsibility for those, and start understanding why you entertain these thoughts, start understanding why you are okay with speaking so badly to yourself. And more importantly, how have these thoughts and behaviors served you? Hey, how have they helped you? Because if you wanted to change your life and you are sick and tired of being where you are because these are not the circumstances that you want, chances are they haven't been serving you. And you now have a choice. You have a choice for real change. I've just given you one very, very good technique where you can start making permanent change. So when you listen to this, and now you know everything after this is a choice. You can choose to stay where you are and keep thinking the way that you do, and keep behaving the way you do, and keep feeling the way you do. Or you can implement something different, or something maybe that you've tried before, but you probably weren't consistent. But now that you're seeing other people do this and experiencing real change, maybe there's a chance for you too. Of course there is. If I can do this, you can do this. But know this, if you choose to change, the change pill, it's going to come with challenges. It's going to come with a push-pull where your subconscious is going to fight you on this new information that it's receiving. Eventually, it'll accept it, but until then, you need to keep persisting. And you're going to realize some things about yourself that you may not necessarily like. And know that this is all part of your transformation, of this butterfly emerging. It's necessary. You have to strip away this behavior. You have to strip away these thoughts. You have to remove these beliefs that are no longer true, never have been true about you, or your circumstances, or your capacity to achieve all things. So whilst the change pill, the change process will lead to different greater things for you, know that there are challenges ahead. But there are also challenges if you stay and you take the stay pill, because you will be staying in circumstances that you are settling in, you are settling for, and that you no longer want. And that's going to breed so much unhappiness that will not only stay within you and around you, but it'll push out into all areas of your life, because the way you see life is a direct reflection of how you see yourself and how you feel about yourself. So if you want to feel differently, and you want to see differently, and you want to achieve differently, I encourage you to take the change pill, to take the road that is like the road unknown. But one thing's for sure, is if you go further down the track and you go further along, and at some point there is no turning back, because you know already how much you've changed and how much has changed. And then you'll just be thankful that you started and thankful that you kept going. So I hope this episode has inspired you and motivated you to start seeing your life and you differently. Because remember, you only have 9% every single day to shift. 9% to make real lasting change. How will you operate today? How will you make decisions today? And more importantly, how will you think today? Now, if you want to do a further deep dive on this and you want to understand how I help my clients to shift and move and help create change for them, you can always contact me. Go to my website, elsamorgan.com. You can always opt to my free group and start getting a bit of an idea because I deliver a ton of value in there. Facebook.com/groups/The Legacy Academy. I look forward to serving you in the next episode. I'm so excited. I know this episode is going to be a game changer for so many of you.
The Consistency Queen, brought to you by the Queenie Effect and the Tech Company. For coaching options, please visit elsamorgan.com.